when I realized, because when COVID hit, I did everything under the sun in order to make money. I was a DJ, I was teaching classes online. I actually taught, like, I had a couple of CXC students as well. I taught French and Spanish. You need to understand the difference between, okay, even if it's your friend, you have to understand, it's my friend, yes, but he's not getting the job done. So, sorry, bro. I have to get someone else that can actually do the jobs. You do not need to be a content creator. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a surgeon. You need to think of how medical professionals feel.
Today we're joined by Jardé Pierre, a cinematographer and visual storyteller based in St. Lucia. Specializing in corporate marketing, documentaries, and film, Jardé has worked with organizations such as Republic Bank, JICA St. Lucia, which is the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Cabot St. Lucia, and the St. Lucia Cancer Society, creating impactful visual content. Before stepping behind the camera, Jardé was an accomplished pianist, performing on the global stage. However, the COVID-19 pandemic sparked a career shift, leading him to hone his cinematography skills through programs like Full-Time Filmmaker and Cinema Mastery. Since then, he has produced two talk shows, Our Meeting at the Crossroads and After Talk for Upward and Onward LLC, as well as audio and video podcasts, The Gents of the 3.5. Additionally, he was involved with a TV show called Blendah, which aired on Choice TV in St. Lucia. With over a decade of experience, Jardé combines creativity with strategy using video storytelling to help businesses attract clients, boost engagement, and build trust. His passion for innovation and collaboration shines through in every project. We look forward to hearing more about the evolution of Jardé from a musician to a cinematographer and visual storyteller.
Yep.
Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, Jardé.
Awesome. Thank you.
So thank you so much for making the time for joining us today.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we know each other from a very long time ago, so I'm looking forward to
Yes.
hearing about this transition and this evolution
Exactly. Yeah.
because, and that's one thing that we all have in common, which is CYEN.
Yep. Yep. That is true. Yeah, we started CYN because I joined CYN. Oh, I think it's 2010, 2009, 2010. That was like
Yes, yes.
way.
Yeah, that's a long time
That's a
ago.
long time ago.
Right. And it's even more way back for me, Caribbean
Yeah.
Youth Environment Network.
Yeah.
So Angela knew me in CYN back in the day, and she knew you in a different time at
Yeah. Exactly.
CYN.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot had changed. But I'm just curious, what do you
Mhm.
remember as one of the best projects you did?
The best project we did was, I think it was Green Global, something to do with Green Global. We drove around the entire island, interviewing the hotels and the businesses and asking them how were they green, basically how are they doing well for climate change and that kind of thing. So
Uh-huh.
that was
Oh,
a
Yeah, I
fun
think
nice.
that's
project.
when we got to see Jade Mountain, right? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
missed out on that one.
Yeah. We
Wow.
went up to Jade Mountain. We got so many pictures taken at the top because we got the Beatles in the back. And that was
Yeah, I know,
Nice.
I know, I know. To
that
this
was
day,
beautiful.
it's still my dream. I haven't made it to go there yet.
Yeah.
And during my time, I went down to Granton's Beach. So
Ah,
that's
okay.
very different.
Yeah, very different. Yeah. First, we went literally hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel. It
Nice. That's
was,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good that we've been able to catch up and we found things in common. But to get our official segment started, there's something that we call rapid fire. So we're
Hmm.
going to ask you a couple of questions and you just have a few seconds to give us answers. So
Okay,
hopefully we'll
sure.
learn something new about you.
Yeah.
So the first one is share with us one word that describes you as a child and one that describes where you are today.
As a child, the best word I can think of is inquisitive or like
Hmm.
curious because I was always trying to see what I could learn. I'm always interested. I like learning. That's my thing. I
Hmm.
like learning. So I was always a
Okay.
learning person.
Awesome. And what about today? How are you?
Today, I would say calculative. because I'm
Mm-hmm.
always thinking about the next move. I'm always wondering what's next. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's how my brain always works. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next?
So if you look at it, you'd see
Mm.
that both words are connected in a way. So you're inquisitive, wanting to
Mm.
learn more, and now it's calculative. So you're thinking of what's next. So I've learned
Yeah,
more. What's next? So
exactly.
I'm sure you never thought of it that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, so they're connected, it's reflective. So
Hmm.
our podcast is about business. So
Hmm.
clearly a lot of the things we will discuss is related to that. But
Yeah,
before we get there, books and movies, which one's your preference?
I'm a book person and a movie person. So for me, it's like I would do audiobooks rather than sit down and read an actual book. So that's my
Oh,
thing. So I when I'm at the gym, I'm driving back and forth, I would be listening to podcasts or listening to a book. So that's how I would get books in. That's my
okay,
thing.
so what book would you recommend for someone?
Anyone who's doing business, I recommend Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, that's a book I've read as well, and I definitely would agree. So
Yeah,
clarity, if you haven't, you need to get your Rich
need to
Dad Poor
get it.
Dad.
Need to get it in.
Yeah, I think I have one that I need to get to, so I will have to work on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
man.
So
Mhm.
now that we're getting into the business side of things, share with us what's the name of your business, how long you've been involved in it.
My first business is Jardé Pierre Media. We do weddings and wedding films. And Real One Media, we do corporate marketing. So conferences, headshots, if you want TV commercials, short documentaries, that kind of thing. That's Real One Media. And GPM does weddings.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. And is it full time or part time?
Full time. This is all I do. So even after I leave here today, I'm out shooting as well. So
All right.
yeah.
Fantastic. So, one more rapid fire question.
Mhm.
Is there any time where you had a really great high that say, yes, this is why I'm doing this?
I guess when I launched the first episode of Blendah and it aired on
Mhm.
Choice TV and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is a really great show. They love the show. They like to see it. They don't know who did this, but this show was really well done." A lot of people didn't know it was me because I'm behind the camera, not in front of it. So they saw the host and they would always tell her, "Oh, we love the show. It's really great. We hope you guys continue this." And I was just like, "Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we
Okay.
did it. Yeah."
All right. Well, thank you so much for responding. We may not
Hmm.
have gotten it rapidly, but we certainly got some fire on.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
So
man.
we will now transition to that section about beginning. It will give you
Hmm.
an opportunity to tell us more about the formation of your business, what you're involved with, and those steps you took. So to
Hmm.
do that, I will hand over to my co-host, Clarita.
Yes, it's really good to learn a little bit more about you on the personal side through
Yeah.
the rapid fire section. So let's talk about beginning now.
Hmm.
So I know you mentioned you started off as an editor and then you transition during COVID. But before we talk about that,
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about growing up. What about your childhood you think led you to where you are today?
Um, to led me today to films, I watched a lot of TV growing up, a lot of TV. So I was someone I would like to be, when I could be outside, I was outside. But a lot of the time in my area, there wasn't that many kids my age. It's maybe about, what, five? So when they're busy, I'm inside just watching TV. So I watched a lot of TV. So like on a weekend, I would have a set schedule. Well, if I wake up at 8 a.m., I would just be watching TV. So at 8 a.m. I have this show, to 8:30 I have that show. Then 9 o'clock I have this show then. And I do that entire schedule until sunset. And that's what I did every weekend
Wow,
sometimes.
wow. You
Yeah.
you kind of brought me back to my Power Rangers days. On
Exactly, yeah.
Yes,
Saturdays, I
that's
kind of
so
had a
true. Because
schedule.
everyone
Yeah.
so scheduled, at 4:30, this is what's showing,
That's what's
4 o'clock,
playing at
you need
this
to
time,
run
so you
home.
make sure you're there for that because we had Yu-Gi-Oh, we had Digimon, and all of those cartoons
Yeah.
back then. So
Uh-huh.
Nice,
yeah, man,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
So when you first started, I'm like, a schedule for watch TV. Then I remembered I actually did have one. I
yeah,
just didn't
And,
realize it was a schedule.
exactly.
and
Because
those were
back
fun
then
times.
we had no choice. We had a TV. Now people have a choice. They can say, okay, Netflix, I can pause and come back to it. But if you missed it, you missed it. That's
Mhm.
that's
Hmm.
what it was. So you have to be there.
some ways it was kind of nice, but like Jade said, the downside was once you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah,
I
And
and
then you
you
pay
know.
you
price.
couldn't afford to. You can't say, "Oh, I'll watch it again tomorrow. I'll watch it later." No, if you miss it, you miss it. So
And
yeah,
then you didn't get to be in the conversation next day when
exactly. When
everybody's
people talking
talking.
about, "Oh, you saw that episode? That was really nice," and you're like, "But I missed it. I don't know."
Those were definitely different times.
Yes, they
Yes,
were. They were.
exactly.
All right. So how does that lead us? Like, I'm just curious. Did you ever think that now you'd actually be in media?
I never once considered it a career. I never considered it a career. So it was crazy how it happened. Like COVID really like basically messed with everyone's minds. And it made you see like, okay, well, how can I make money? Because my regular job isn't making money right now. So what can I do? So it's a really good transition. I would say it's a really good transition.
Okay. And my understanding is you were a pianist even before you went into media. So touch
Yeah.
a little bit on that for us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so before I even went into film, so starting off at film, I started doing film simply because I needed to market myself as a pianist.
Mm.
So being a pianist, you need material to market yourself. You need pictures of yourself, you need videos of yourself playing, and you need to do that in order to send it to agents in order to get booked. So when I reached out to photographers, hey, how much does it cost to do this? To get headshots and to get a video of myself. I was bamboozled, I would say, by the price. And I was like, oh, this costs way too much money. So what I did was I bought my own camera, I got a GoPro, and then I started filming myself. So I started doing that and I made sure I taught myself. I did a couple courses at the time to get to be able to actually do something of good enough quality to get hired. And
Mhm.
what happened was that while I was on, because I was still performing, some other people they wanted footage themselves. So I was like, okay, let me try this out. I recorded some clips for them and edited the video, sent it across, and they were like, oh my God, this is really good. So I was like, all right, well, that's good. So even while I was performing, touring, because I was doing world tours and that kind of thing, I was still making money editing videos for people. So sometimes they would record something on another ship or wherever, and then they would send the footage to me, and I would just be editing and whatnot and networking back and forth. Met up with someone who has a production company. He said, "Hey, can you edit our videos for all of our artists?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So even while I was out traveling, I'm editing, sending. So I would do a show, finish a show, go back in my cabin, edit a video, get to a port day the next day, look for Wi-Fi somewhere to send the videos across and all of that and back and forth. So I was just editing, sending, performing, editing, sending, performing. So for me, it was a good side hustle. But when COVID hit, I was just like, bruh, there's no money. All my shows got canceled, and it literally. I was in the UK. No, I was not in the. I was planning to go to the UK. I was in the Caribbean doing a Caribbean tour, and I was planning to go to the West End because I was doing all the production shows. My plan was to go to the West End, because the West End is like a Broadway, the Broadway of the UK.
Mhm.
So that was my trajectory, and then COVID just said, go back home."
Most of us can probably relate to that, how
Yeah.
things change drastically for us during COVID.
hmm
I'm just curious, when you finally decided to make that move and make, that part of your business official, what were the next steps that you took?
The next steps that I took initially, I didn't register it right away because I didn't know much about business in St. Lucia at the time. So when I realized, because when COVID hit, I did everything under the sun in order to make money. I was a DJ, I was teaching classes online. I actually taught, like, I had a couple of CXC students as well. I taught French and Spanish, taught math. I had primary school students teaching as well. So I was doing everything I needed to do. And then when I looked into photography, I basically, what happened with me is that even though I was teaching, I was doing other stuff, but I realized, okay, I can make some money doing business, photography business. So I took all of the last bits of money that I had, I invested it in the camera gear. And then while I was doing it, some of the companies that I work with asked me, hey, are you registered? So I was just like, well, no. So I had to go. I went up to Sado. I asked them about it. So basically, the first steps of actually being a business was going to Sado, getting the business name registered, and getting my business certificate. More or less, that's how you start. And then I branched out after that.
Okay. And for those who don't know, who's not familiar with Seidu, do you mind
Yeah.
just briefly telling us what it means and what do they do?
Well, Sado, I don't know the acronym what it means, the name, but they're responsible for registering businesses. So if you need your business registered, like a business registration, whether you have an LLC, limited liability company, a firm, a small business, you go to them, you fill out the name search, then they send it back to you to let you know if the name is taken by anyone else, and they help you get your business registered. And even with getting your business registered, they also assist in training as well. So they also give me training in terms of accounting, how you
Mm-hmm.
should manage your finances while you're in a business, little things that you should know, like paying taxes. They educate you on all of those little things. So CIDO is a really good way to get your business up and running, more or less.
Yeah, and I heard you mention accounting. It's so good that they provide that kind of support because it's
Hmm.
one thing
Hmm.
doing what you're passionate about, but there's an ecosystem around running a business, and
Yes.
that's so important. So we'll talk about that a little bit more probably in the building segment.
Hmm.
But before I turn you over to Angela, I just would like to learn a little bit more about the story behind the names of your businesses.
Well, the name of the first business, Jardé Pierre Media, is pretty cut and dry. It's like that's my name, Jardé. Real one, I like the name Real because Reels from if anybody uses social media, they know it's Reels. Um, the fun story would be in I think my motto, because for JPM I have magicians in real life. That's our motto.
Mm.
And that story is basically when I was working as an editor for Upward and Onward Productions. He liked to say that was his favorite thing to say. He used to call me the magician because he would have an idea for a project or for a documentary or something. And then what he would do is he would send it across to me. He would not know how to get the idea to a video. So he always used to say, oh, I just bring the magic. So he would just send me the idea, send me whatever he needed to get done, and I would just create something good for him. So he was like, yeah, that's the magician because he just brings magic. Yeah.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Nice. That says a lot about your work. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
sharing that with us.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to the bill segment. So, Angela, back to you.
Thank you, Clarita, and thank
Hmm.
you, Jade, for sharing so far. It certainly shed a lot of light on how you've progressed
Yeah.
over the years and how you got started with your
Hmm.
businesses rather.
Yeah.
In terms of building, so you've commenced, so you now have to set that foundation. One of
Hmm.
the things you mentioned earlier, and Clarita touched upon it, is that ecosystem in
Yes.
terms of finances.
Hmm.
So, for building your structure, how did you get that together? Are you the only one doing your accounts, doing your administration, your employee
Um,
management?
in
How?
terms of administration, is mainly me
Mm-hmm.
because I do most of the marketing, most of the back and forth with the emails and that kind of thing. I do I do a lot of the emailing, but I don't do all of the emailing. It's also AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have a lot of systems in place where I have a workflow. I think Loretta
Okay.
uses 17 Arts as well, so she will understand.
Mm-hmm.
Where I will set a workflow so when someone goes on my website and they fill out the contact form, it automatically sends an email. It lets you know, hey, there's a questionnaire that you need to fill out. And with the questionnaire, I have it paired up with stuff that I have to put on the invoice and the quotes. So whatever they fill out, it automatically creates a quote, creates a contract, all of those things. So it basically takes care of all of that. So I don't need to hire like like some businesses have secretaries.
Mhm.
That's a thing of the past, unfortunately. AI has come in and taken care of
Mhm.
that. In terms of accounting, I have an accountant that handles all of those things for me. So he comes in quarterly or every 3 months. So,
Yes, it's quarterly.
so he comes in, makes sure that I'm doing all the books properly, make sure that I'm crossing everything off, and then when tax season comes in, he just comes in and makes sure that that's sorted out. So yeah, that's
Okay.
that's how I do it.
All right. So you're utilizing the technology and reducing your human overhead cost in terms of administration. But I would think that as the types of business that you have, you still require a team. So you
Yes,
need to go
yes.
behind the camera. How do
hmm
you put that team together?
Well, basically, right now I have a team of four, and it expands based on the job. So we do heavy production. So for weddings, it's a set team of four, where it's me and my fiance doing. So I do video. I'm the A cam, she's the B cam, and then I have my photographer. That's Imperial Productions. He does my photography. So he does the photography. I do the video aspect of things. That's for weddings. When it comes to corporate stuff, you depends on what they want. Sometimes they want something simple where I can just do it. Where because she does both video and photo, I do both video and photo, so we can interchange in between. If they want more, then I'll have other things like a gaffer. I have other cinematographer. I have my sound guy. So for production, sometimes you can have a team of 10 people just to get the job
Okay.
done. So I do a lot of subcontracting, is what I would say, because it's a project by project basis. I cannot have anybody on a salary, so I have to
Mhm.
always just subcontract. If I need someone, then I hire a freelancer to get the job done, and it's just for the job, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how have you found that working for you? Just putting a team together rather than people you have fixed, their inner workings, their strengths, their weakness. How have you found that?
It's a bit challenging because what a lot of people don't, I guess someone who employs would understand, where there are loads of people who want the money, but
The
when you
effort.
tell them this is what you have to do to get the money, they don't really, a lot of people don't want to do the work that it takes to get to where they need to get to. So
Mhm.
I've had issues where I'm hiring people to do something for me, but they're taking a lot of shortcuts. So it's a thing
Yeah.
where you need to understand the difference between, okay, even if it's your friend, you have to understand it's my friend, yes, but he's not getting the job done. So
Mhm.
sorry, bro, I have to get
Yeah.
someone else that can actually do the job. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of HR kind of responsibility that falls when you're running a business, when even if you have a good rapport with someone, the at the end of the day,
The
the
delivery.
client, if the client is not happy with the work that you're providing, then that's an
Mhm.
issue. So
Mhm.
building a team, it's taking a while. We kind of have the gel sorted after a long time because it's not my first team that I've had. I've done work with another production company, and because of little insider stuff, it caused the team to fall apart. Where that
Mhm.
one's jealous of this one, that one's jealous of that one. So
Mhm. Mhm.
and then there came to a situation where we worked on a project. I helped him get a project, and we were supposed to work on a project together. And then he took the project for himself, and all of these things happen.
Mhm.
So working with a team sometimes is great, sometimes it's bad, but you gotta roll with the punches, more or less.
So I want to you've highlighted so many challenges that are faced by business people in
Yeah.
terms of relating in using the hard work and the subcontracting team, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time you need to manage your finances.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that issue? The one where you created this opportunity, it was supposed to be a partnership, but
Mm-hmm.
then one person just took it and hijacked. How
Yeah.
did you react and manage that?
It was very difficult. I would say I'm grateful for my fiance for that because she assisted in terms of um, helping me stay
Process.
clear-headed. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because it's difficult to process because imagine that's people you've been working with for a while. So there's a
Hmm.
level of trust that
Hmm.
and a level of something that you don't expect.
To be broken.
Exactly. So it's a lot to process. But after doing it for a while, you just accept that certain people, you just have, life goes on. So it's
Hmm.
unfortunate, but life goes on. Keep it pushing. Just move on.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. That's wonderful. And I think as you go through the challenges, it helps you to deal with the next one. I would agree.
exactly. Because what happens after that is you notice behaviors, behavioral traits. So when you see it, you just say, nope, next.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. There are two things. I mean,
Hmm.
as you go into business, there are leaps that has to be made. So you have to make that choice.
Yeah.
As you build those two companies, what would you say is the biggest leap that you've had to make to date?
The biggest leap that I've had to make was the initial investment.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest leap because when I just started out, I didn't understand fully what was required of me in terms of what's needed for a successful photography business. So I'm more of a risk taker where I would jump headfirst and figure it out on the way. So that's my thing. So camera gear is not cheap. I have to say that camera gear is not cheap. So when I was down to my last set of dollars, I would say, and COVID is hitting, we were heading back to another lockdown. I was just like, man, I need to do something. So I took the last bit of my funds. I think I had maybe $500 left after I spent everything, and I just bought all the camera gear. And I said, I'm diving head on into this. So that was my biggest leap, just buying the camera gear because it's more than just buying the gear. We have to also deal with customs on top of it. So even if you think something costs $1,000, no, customs will tell you, give me an extra 1,000. So
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
was my biggest leap, just investing in camera gear. Just taking that leap and saying, I don't know where this will go, but I'm jumping headfirst.
So that's really good. I mean, they always say that in business you have to be a risk taker,
Hmm.
and sometimes you won't always know the whole plan,
Exactly.
but you move ahead. So in terms of that investment you made, did you see the return in a short term or a long term? Because you started this business more than 5 years ago, so it wasn't.
The funny thing about it is I can't realistically say I would say I've received a return in terms of maybe financially, as in making the money back,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an ever evolving career. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
still investing into the business. That the
Okay.
investing part never stops. Whether it's learning, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
buying more camera gear, whether it's hiring more people to work on the team, I'm still investing. But the returns come, for me, the return comes every single wedding that I do. That's my return.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell
Okay.
people whenever I shoot a wedding and I send a video across, and the bride calls me back and she's crying because it's so beautiful and it's filled with emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that's my return. I'm like,
Oh,
I did my job. I did my
client
job.
satisfaction.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right, fantastic.
Hmm.
I think just one other thing before we move to I in some ways I think we've sort of covered a section we call that kind of growth, or
Hmm.
in our layman language, the struggle section. You see the
Yeah.
struggle is real,
Hmm.
you know. But before we move to that one, in terms of customers, how have you found you've built that customer base?
Building a customer base, um, when it comes to the St. Lucian market,
Mm-hmm.
building a customer base doesn't even require, I wouldn't say it doesn't require much. It just requires presence. St. Lucia is
Mm-hmm.
it's a very small market. We work heavily on word of mouth where this one knows that one, that one knows that one, that one knows that one, and you get recommending based on who knows you and that kind of thing. So getting clients literally is from putting out good content, putting out content that they want to have themselves, and just word of mouth. That's what it is for the solution market. For international clients where people are coming in, getting getting work in that sense requires targeted marketing. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing wedding stuff, I would have my stuff on Google. I would have it on YouTube, because people are always on Google Maps searching which businesses and how can I get this, how can I get that. So I have my SEO sorted where I'm targeting people coming in,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through YouTube, through Google Maps, but targeted marketing is, yeah.
And in terms of your client base, do you have a balance of St. Lucian clients, international clients?
It's a mix of the two, depending on the business. For small businesses, when I'm doing corporate stuff, it's a clear defined mix.
Mm-hmm.
But for weddings, I right now I do more international rather than locals,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know what it is, but it seems from my perspective, more people are coming down to get married than actually
Mm-hmm.
get married locally. So that's
Okay.
that's the difference. Because we're a honeymoon destination, so everyone comes down just to
Mm-hmm.
get married.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, yeah.
As we move now to that section where you think to yourself, should I continue? Should I not continue? Have you had those kinds of moments?
Ah, all the time. That happens all the time. Um, I can share one story where I wouldn't say it made me want to give up, but it made me question everything that I'm doing. Um, so there was one project that I was bidding for, because whenever you do projects, whether it's government or international, whatever, you have to send in quotes, and based on the quotes or whatever, they would know who to take. So I was having a conversation with one person, and basically it was a situation where I sent in a quote, and people are saying, okay, um, this quote is too much, or something along those lines. I was like, okay, all right, well, it's too much. Okay, I understand. And then maybe 2 weeks later, I'm seeing they hired someone who charged 3 times as much. So it left me wondering, like, if I'm too much,
Yes.
how are you comfortable paying someone 3 times as much? So it really messed with my mind in terms of what am I doing, or what's really going on, or what is this, what's really happening. So it messed with my mind a little, and it reminded me of the I don't know if you know the watch story where a guy had his grandfather's antique watch, and he went multiple places, and every single place he went, the watch was a different value. So the price went up in one place, but the price went down here, the price went down here, the price went down here. So it got me thinking in terms of people spend more when they value it differently, in terms of, rather than just saying at face value, because it wasn't a situation where I would, well, in my mind, I wouldn't consider someone better or worse than the other. It's just a matter of they saw the other person as more valuable, so they were willing to invest in something more valuable to them. So it was just it shook me up a little, but it woke me up to the fact that I need to present myself as more valuable. So that was one instance where I had to just like, yeah, okay, you need to be more valuable.
What did you do though? Because that's very intriguing to me. Like to say you make yourself more valuable. What
Mhm.
shifts did you make on your end?
Right. So in order to shift what I was doing, I had to basically present yourself in a new way. So I had to not necessarily rebrand, but I started to look into other creators and see what they're doing to make themselves more valuable. Because part of my courses that I took, not full-time filmmaker, it was Flash Film Academy. He focuses more on the business side of photography and production. So he talks about a lot about value and adding value to what you do. So it's how you present yourself, how your website looks, as well as how you look on your social media pages, all of those things. So one thing that he um, stresses on is that you do not need to be a content creator. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a surgeon. You need to be, think of how medical professionals feel. You would not go to someone, a general practitioner, and tell them you have cancer and they'll tell you, oh, I'll fix your cancer. You would not go to that. You go to a doctor who specializes in cancer. That's the mindset that you needed to think. So I needed to reshape how I was thinking because I presented myself, according to him, like Walmart, where you offering everything. So you're like a jack of all trades, but you're not a master of none. But people would quickly hire someone who's a specialist in their field rather than someone who just does everything. So I shifted off from, hey, I can do weddings, I can do ads, I can do events, I can do birthday party, I can do birthday shoots, I can do maternity shoots, I can do all of those things. While it is true that I can do all of these things, on the client aspect, when they come to you, they're gonna see someone who does everything, rather than if they go to this other page, they're only doing weddings. You're gonna be more pulled to hire that person who's only doing that one thing because that's what you want. If you have a problem with your leg or your knee, you're going to go to a leg doctor rather than a general practitioner who can take care of your head, your arms. Or you want someone to fix the problem that you have. So
Hmm.
it's a mindset switch that you need to
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
So it sounds like so people talk a lot about niching, like
Yes, you
getting your
have to niche.
niche.
You have to niche down.
But it's a scary thing because you're like, but then I'm removing all these other people that I could be working with. So how do
Yes.
you reconcile that?
Right. So you're removing all of the other people that you can work with, but because you're a specialist, the fee and the value that you attach to your specialist services would be higher than someone who's just a general practitioner. If you think about it, when you have, let's say you have a headache or you're feeling sick, you're going to go to a doctor. You don't go to a surgeon, you go to a general practitioner because they're cheaper. Even if you know it could be a problem in your head. But a general practitioner might cost maybe $150, $200 for a visit. But if you have to do brain surgery, you know that's thousands upon thousands of dollars because that's a specialist that will take care of your problem.
And at that point, you're prepared to pay that money,
Exactly.
right? The high value, high amount.
Exactly, because that's the
All right,
value
makes
attached to it. So
sense.
if you think about
Okay.
it in that sense, in you take yourself out of your specific business. If you think about it in those terms, then it just makes sense. It makes sense. So you
It sure
don't.
does.
It's a scary way to niche down, but in the long run, you're doing what you want to do, and you're doing what you're happy to do. So it's a win. It's a win-win. It's a very big win. So go for it.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, man.
You certainly shared a lot of valuable information and insight
Mhm.
for persons who want to get into a similar field or just generally in business
Yeah,
because the practical things apply to every business. Talking about
exactly.
your niche,
It
talking about
does.
your
It really,
specialization,
really, really does. Yeah.
and yeah, people will pay for what they value. Okay, fantastic.
Mhm.
Now, in your business, I'm sure there are things that motivate you.
Mhm.
So what would you say is your biggest inspiration or something that motivates you to continue going?
Um, I would say my biggest motivation would be my fiance. That's my biggest motivation. There have been so many situations where I wouldn't even notice it, but she would pull me out of the rabbit hole where I would be going into, oh, this is not working. I'm struggling. Why are these people doing this? Why is this happening? Why is that? So it's like every now and then, and it's more than just business, is the fact that she also ensures that my mental health is always top notch. So is that's one thing I'm very grateful for, because she's on me for that. So she ensures that I keep training, I keep praying, making sure that everything is well with me mentally and physically. So yeah, that's literally my biggest motivation, my biggest thing. Because a lot of people don't they say it, because we do weddings all the time, and they say it all the time. He who finds a good wife finds a good thing, but people don't understand the value
What?
in when you really do find someone who's in your corner, who helps you and supports you.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's the biggest, very, very the biggest thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally agree because it's two heads are always better than one.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
That's
so
for
that
sure.
brings us to talking about balancing family and business.
Hmm.
How do you separate that? Because you're working together.
Yes.
That's a
The beautiful thing is she always reminds me, because I would say I get into the point sometimes where, because we work together all the time, sometimes I don't feel like, oh, we don't need to go out. I see you all the time. We live together and I see you at work. So it's like, do we need to go out but she always reminds me, hey,
yes,
we need to have fun.
it's
We
a
need to,
separate.
yeah, it's a separate thing. We need to have fun. So it's a I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, she helps out with that sense of getting us to where we need to be.
Mhm,
Um so yeah, that's basically how I manage. So she ensures that we always train together. We always even if it's once a month, we do something together that's not work.
mhm,
Because 90% of the time, if we're out of the house, we're working. So
mm.
she always ensures that we do something. It could be just a trip to the beach. It could be we
Mhm,
go outside and have lunch somewhere. But
mhm.
that's how we end up just balancing time, having us time, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Fantastic, fantastic. So
yeah,
great. Sounds like you have a really great thing going there.
yeah, man, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so
In many ways, the business and the relationship, it's all tied in
It's
nicely
all tied
together.
in. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually it's actually really beautiful, because even for her, she didn't start off as a photographer. I taught her everything. So
Mm,
when we met, she was doing just a regular 9 to 5, and she
mhm,
hated it. Like most people, they have their regular day job, and they hate it. Like, and I could see
mm,
that she hated it, and I was just like, you know what, hey, that quit. If you don't like it, you can leave. It's fine. Because I'm making enough to cover the expenses. So I was like, I can cover the expenses, quit, take time for yourself. If you need a month, you need 2 months, figure out what you want to do, and then just let me know. So I made sure that I covered what I needed to cover, and then she took the time out, and then she said, okay, she can join me for the photography. I was like, okay, great. So she was always already on me with the shoots, because she would help me with setting up lights and that kind of thing. So it
mhm.
came to a point where I said, okay, here's the camera. This is how we set up lighting. This is how you shoot. This is how you do this. And after about, what, 6 months to a year, she started doing her own shoots, and now
Nice.
she's at it. She's at it now, so
Yeah.
it's
That
Great.
really
working.
Yeah.
reminds me how support system is so important. It sounds like
Yes.
you're each a great support for each other, and you
Yeah.
also have a lot of support around you
Yeah.
overall. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah. So
amazing.
it's just great. It's just great.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. So I think we've covered the begin, the build, the blossom. So
Hmm.
it's now about wrapping up, about closing out. So I
Hmm.
will pass to my co-host Clarita to
Okay.
take on that segment.
Yes, thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And I really hope we'll be having some more conversations.
Of
So thank
course.
you so much for that.
Hmm.
So as we wrap up, we call it our closeout segment. I
Yeah.
would like if you could just focus on three practical tips that you'd like to share with persons who are probably looking to start a business or who are already in business and just need that motivation to continue?
Okay. In terms of business, if you're interested in starting a business, the most important thing I would tell anyone, the very, very most first thing is educate yourself on financial literacy. That is far most the most important thing because a lot of people, businesses fail when you don't manage your finances properly. So you need to understand that if you don't make money work for you, you will work for your money. So understanding financial literacy is the backbone of everything. The second thing I would say is whatever idea that you have, if it's something that, like, let's say it's a startup, the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out and understand that does the idea and does the problem that you want to solve, is it profitable? Is it something that will make money for you? If it's already making money, then I would suggest that you find someone in the industry that you're in and see what they're doing, um, see how they're successful and what makes them successful. And you could do one of two things. You could take what they're doing and replicate it, or what you can do is take what they're doing and make it better and increase it and add your flair to it, and then yeah, you should be good to go. Should be good to go.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And
You're
when you
welcome.
talked about educate yourself on financial literacy, I thought
Yes.
I should add here at CME Accounting LLC, we're more
Yeah.
than happy to help you with that. So feel
Yes.
free to
Feel
give
free to
us a
reach out.
call. Yes, even though it's just for a conversation, on how to get started, and then we can always see how we can work together.
Yes.
All right. And part of what we do here as well is to help build community. We talked so much about the support system that you have. And
Mm-hmm.
even through the podcast, so one of the impact that we hope we're having is to connect people with each other, to have that
Yeah.
support, especially in business. So we
Mm-hmm.
always like to ask, would you be open to somebody reaching out to you for, just to have a discussion? Just maybe you can share some more knowledge with them. Is that something
Yeah.
you're open to doing?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. That's fine. Well,
Awesome, great. We like
yeah,
to hear
man.
it from the guests themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine.
And
All
you can,
right.
I was just saying there's one other thing I wanted to suggest to anyone who's running a business, because the last conversation I had with someone at the youth economy, they stressed on that so much. I just figured I needed to say it. Learn to separate your finances from your business. Always, a
yeah,
lot of people don't do it, and
yeah.
they end up mixing business funds with personal funds, and that's usually the breakdown of a business because you cannot track your profits and your losses. So at
Mhm.
least bare minimum two accounts, one for your business, one for you. Pay yourself from your business and separate yourself from your business. Please,
Mhm.
please,
Yes,
please,
very
please.
valuable information there. That is so, so, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and doing it from the beginning helps because at some point you need to separate it anyway to get your
exactly.
financials done. So you
Hmm.
might
Yeah.
as well get started by having everything in that one account for your
Yeah.
business and
And
keeping
one
your
for
personal
you.
separate.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And what's the best way that we can all reach you?
You can reach me two ways. My email address, info@jardépmedia.com, or my number 758-488-7382. So you can find me on that. On social media, all my social media platforms are the same. It's at Jardé P. So JARDEP on every platform. TikTok, Instagram. The only thing I'm not on, I have a Twitter account, but I don't use it.
You
It's
mean X?
X or X now. But there
Yeah.
it's just way too many bots, so you don't know who's real and who's not. So I just
Okay.
stay away from it. Um, but yeah, yeah, on all social media platforms, GARDEP. That's my handles. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Angela, would you like to add anything before we close the curtains?
Mm-mm-mm. Look at her using her visual terminology.
I know, I mean, after speaking to a visual storyteller,
Exactly.
how could you not, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course, of course. It's been a very entertaining conversation in the sense of learning that transition, or rather seeing the evolution. So, in terms of just to close out your piano,
Hmm.
do you still play?
Once in a blue. I almost don't play anymore. I played last year. I did Olias nights, And
Okay.
before that, my other gig was like in like January, February. So I rarely, very
Okay.
rarely play. Very
Okay.
rarely, yeah.
Okay.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes, but it's like, I don't know, being a musician in St. Lucia is very different from being a musician overseas. The
Mm-hmm.
respect is like this and
Different.
this. I don't know. Oh, you guys can say, oh, it's like this and this. So overseas is like all the way up here. Locally is
Yeah.
like down here.
They don't value it.
They don't value musicians the way that they should, and a lot of musicians end up leaving because of that. If like right now, St. Lucia barely has musicians left. Everyone is on a cruise ship, or they're out traveling somewhere. They don't stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
All
a
right.
whole other conversation.
So I'm realizing we need to have a whole nother episode to talk about that part of your
Yeah,
life.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Hmm.
So when I just want to say thank you so much to both Angela and Jade. I'm
Hmm.
so excited that we had this conversation. I mean, you had me just looking at you like while you were talking. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying this conversation. So thank you so much again, and looking forward to hearing more from you.
Awesome, awesome. Looking forward to
Best
seeing you
wishes.
guys. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a CME Accounting LLC podcast. Please subscribe and be on the lookout for our next episode. If you'd like to share any feedback with us, please email us at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com.